Tidjane Salaun is by far one of the 2024 draft's most fascinating prospects as someone with intriguing potential and great flashes, but also elements of his game that are far away from being NBA caliber. He's 6'10" and shoots with a 7'2" wingspan and a 9'2" standing reach, and at just 18 years old, he produced well in his first season of significant minutes in both Jeep Elite and BCL play for Cholet. He's got upside as a defender and off-ball scorer, and overall flash the type of long-term potential that interests a lot of teams. Now, even within some of those areas he made an impact, there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up, especially defensively, but as an upside swing and one the team would draft with patience in mind, there's a chance he could eventually outperform his draft slot in a significant way. Starting on the offensive end, as far away as we want to describe him at times, I think he's already a really good cutter and someone that could have a ton of success as an off-ball scorer in the future. He was always eager to cut, often at his best out of the corners, and did an excellent job of reading his defender and attacking that open space for an easy opportunity. He was at 1.3 points per possession here and often finished with dunks and caught lobs at the rim. For someone that's just 18 playing at this speed, this is what I was most impressed by from him offensively and where he showed the most feel, and in the right situation with solid playmakers, I think he should find success here. He was also pretty good on the offensive glass, using many of those same tools that make him a good cutter. He's got good instincts, a real motor that shows up in many ways, and he crashes hard to get those opportunities. He runs the floor well in transition too, and though he's not an elite athlete and tested a bit worse than I expected him to at the combine in Italy, he's fairly functional and I would expect him to be a threat running lanes.
Running around ball screens. On screen.
L'image de cette équipe du Portel depuis des années. Coming through well, that's heading in.
Tilly's made 1-3, goes for another one, unable to get it. Big offensive ball by Tidjane.
De jouer de mismatch. Ruban sur James.
Le rebond de Tidjane Salaun. Le meilleur Limoujo pour l'instant. Gérald Ayayi, c'est raté rebond. Offensif photo.
C'est aussi qui est revenu. Enzo Gudusina qui ne s'arrête pas. Ballon un petit peu.
Ça a été très vite. Le jet pump entre deux Tidjane Salaun. Regardez-moi ça.
It's into the corner. And missed again. They just
Souza qui fait un bon match. Nathan de Souza. Oh oui, pour Tidjane Salaun.
Sûrement que le match va être revu avec les assistants de Laurent Villa.
Hold on, the fast break is happening pretty quickly and it's finished off nicely.
Tidjane Salaun, le costaud.
Nope. Sacco takes the rebound, then regathers, then goes on the move.
The other big selling point in his offense long term is his three-point shooting. This is where I think he'll need a lot more attention to detail because he was kind of just out there letting it fly and living with the results a lot of times. But within that, he shot a relatively solid clip on great volume and had some serious hot stretches during games and parts of the season. He's super confident, he took advantage of being unguarded fairly well, he's a solid mover on shakeups and moving around the perimeter, so there's some stuff to work with here. Now, we'll talk about some of the specifics of where he goes wrong and how he'll be able to tap into more of this upside, but the 6'10" forward, solid athlete, great flashes as a shot maker, there's at least an outline of a unique contributor on offense.
Et avec Jerry Blakes, Tidjane Salaun.
For a replay, Salaun hits third three, yes it is! Oh, Tidjane Salaun to call a look out.
Souza. Avec Tidjane Salaun qui va prendre sa chance.
Rembarrer le Randall. Allez, Salaun 3 points.
Oui, monsieur. Deuxième carton. Il y avait 45-40, c'était serré. Tidjane Salaun sur la ressortie.
Il n'y a que 8 points maintenant. Salaun à 3 points.
Ayayi qui contourne le bloc. Ouais, pour retrouver Tidjane Salaun. C'est parfait. L'exécution.
3 points marqués, plus de ballons perdus que de passes décisives données. Il y a une grosse marge de progression.
On attend plus d'implication au scoring du meneur Cholet, on le sait, c'est
Now his defense is very far from being a finished product, but he still had a lot of moments throughout the year, and his motor and activity level was something that stood out fairly consistently. At his size and being a solid athlete, he's able to get to a lot of spots on the floor, and he has decent anticipation skills that make him a potential playmaker in the future. You can't teach 7'2" wingspan, and it comes in handy playing passing lanes, getting deflections and steals, and turning defense into offense. His rotations and knowledge for his responsibilities got better over the course of the year just by tagging more on time, helping the helper a little more, and flying around and playing with less mistakes, but there's still likely a long road ahead of him. On the ball, there is a little less to like right now. It's all a work in progress, but I will say he's a decent enough mover and has the physical tools to make up for some of the messiness. He's someone that currently projects best as a true 4-man, but the possibility he could move down to the 3 is at least there. He's long, his contests bothered players even when he was late, so he's got a good level of upside if he can put things together, and it's an essential part of his overall pitch as a prospect.
You better figure that one out or they're going to run that lob again. Here's Withers.
À l'image du jeune Rizaché, hein, qui sont un peu de nos générations. Et voilà Tidjane Salaun.
You might remember he was the best young player back in year 1.
Lucina défensivement. Et on a notre tour.
Okobo face à Salaun. Il restait pas assez de temps. Ils l'ont vu, mais c'est trop tard.
Rodriguez et la bonne.
Pour Gérald Ayayi, le meilleur marqueur de Cholet dans ce match. Salaun qui a de l'espace pour dégainer. Allez, ça rentre pas, hein. Pour l'instant maladroit. Des 24. Nicolas Lang s'est raté, rebond Tidjane Salaun.
D'être partie des moins bons à la aux interceptions.
Tardive.
Now to the other side of his defense, there's just a whole lot going on. Sure, the energy, activity, and athleticism make him someone to be intrigued by, and I am, but he's also pretty far away from executing on a possession basis. I did think he got better rotationally over the year, but at the same time, a lot of it felt like guesswork. He was out of position and often didn't finish possessions in the way that you would have liked to see. His closeouts were also all over the place. He'd overrun players and lunge, leading to unnecessary advantages, and he's also not much of a presence as a help side rim protector. He has the tools to be at least more of one, but that's just never been part of his game, and as a natural 4 or even a big wing, that kind of hinders his overall value in that role.
Jefferson, Kuslan, back outside.
Avec James, ballon qui a failli être arraché des mains. James qui retrouve Cordelli, à nouveau.
Points are ready for Neil Sacco. You can see how much they missed the big man last week against Strasbourg.
Brown. Sorocas qui a retrouvé Konaté.
5 left there on the shot clock. There's the pick, there's the pop down the lane.
Accepte pas pour Alenomic. Pour Boulogne. Valois. Lailou.
Now on the ball, he'd cycle between some really intriguing moments of containment at that size to many times where his balance was just really easy to play with and get a paint touch. He's one of those guys who's just really jumpy right now, and against any wing with a semblance of a handle, let alone guards, he's going to struggle in space early. So I love the motor, the physical tools for a 4. I think he did improve over the year, but it's going to take some time for him to get to where he needs to be and match some of those flashes and tools with more substance and feel than he's shown to this point.
Diawara, oh là là.
Appleby, le cross ravageur et le tir derrière. Et Malcolm avec Kessens court, la claque.
And one of the biggest overall red flags for him is his finishing at the rim, and to a greater point, his non-dunk 2-point attempts. He was in the low 40s on half-court layups, and right now just doesn't have the touch, body control, or strength to score more efficiently in traffic. There's a ton of wild attempts in there. He is a decent athlete, but not super explosive in traffic, and it's likely going to be a process. He is young, and having that physical advantage, especially as he adds to his frame, could be a game changer for him. I also think when you dunk 40 times in a season, you got to give that its proper respect, given it's the easiest shot in basketball. But those types of looks aren't going to be quite as clean or consistent in the NBA, and the other stuff is just objectively bad right now. Now his shooting is a solid amount of his overall upside, and I like him enough, but he's still very inconsistent, and his footwork is what will need the most attention in my opinion. His balance fluctuates. He's often a right-left shooter off the catch as a righty, which sure, there's no law against it, but it does encourage tougher hip alignment and a lower load point. Whenever he's on the move, there's a chance anything could happen in his upper mechanics, and to me, from a process standpoint, he's a lot further behind some other wings who shot worse percentages. Now the results do matter. His confidence is a huge plus. He's only 18 and has a pass to hitting shots, so for that I do think he'll be respectable, but it'll likely take some work in order to avoid the type of inconsistency that he's had. And finishing it up, I think expecting anything significant from him as a creator in the near future would be a mistake. He's not particularly effective as a driver outside of a clear straight line. His handle is pretty high and he lacks in traffic. And then every off the dribble jumper is a different experience in a way that I don't know if there's any other player in this class you could say the exact same about. He can be a sporadic decision maker when he gets the ball, and I just don't have a ton of confidence in him ever becoming a significant playmaker. There are some intriguing flashes every once in a while that'll take you by surprise, but it's far from being functional. Now the hope with him is he's able to draw enough attention on closeouts and the game slows down enough that he can take his 1 or 2 dribbles and stride out for attempts at the rim, and also shoot the occasional step back or flyby jumper off the bounce in a real way. But beyond that, we're likely looking at someone that's going to take some attentive skill development to create in a significant way.
En déplacement, Tidjane Salaun, side step.
Well, Salaun now's got to isolate here. Time winding down. Goes for
Il a mis un joli fadeaway sur Dylan Afamana. Par contre, il n'a pas croqué.
Oh,
Salaun.
Campbell, Salaun. Za 2 poena, Salaun, visok luk.
Ouais, pourtant à -3. Sur la première mi-temps. Tidjane Salaun.
La grande balle sur Tidjane Salaun. Ouais, Tidjane Salaun.
Alors,
si ça rentre, c'est fou.
Recule, est-ce qu'il va l'attaquer? Oh, il va le prendre à 3 points.
Away from the basket, it makes no sense. Yassar comes back. Oh, Salaun in the game, little overshot.
30%. Tidjane Salaun qui va faire extra passe vers Nathan de Souza.
La grande balle qui est en train de régaler. Aïe aïe.
Allez, on attend quand même une réaction hein, pour les Choletais et notamment Salaun à l'intérieur.
Tidjane Salaun is about as high risk, high reward a prospect I've evaluated on the channel. There are some tangible skills there, but he's definitely a project. If you're picking him, you wouldn't put limits on where he could take his offensive game, but I think he's a 4 who finishes plays, can knock down a shot, and possibly attack a shifted defense. And to me, his best versions would just be him becoming great at all those things. Defensively, he's most comfortably a 4 that has the upside to defend more wings down the line and win with his size, but he could eventually become a good help defender who makes his impact felt as a playmaker and can take up space in a significant way. If he puts the pieces together, I'm not sure I'm as bought in on that ceiling being outright star as others, but more someone who could sniff the top 60 as a high-level starter. And then floor-wise, I think it's pretty low, and as it is a possibility with a lot of prospects without a multi-year second contract. He'll likely land anywhere from about the mid-lottery to the mid-teens, I'd be on the lower side there, but I love the idea of Portland. I think that could be a great environment for him. Utah and Toronto are also interesting to me, and then Sacramento may want someone who hits earlier with that pick given their timeline, but for the ideal version of him, I like that fit a lot. Comparison wise, he's another guy where it's both too early and he's unique in a way that I don't think any of them make sense. Like if Obi Toppin was a bit better defensively but less explosive, that's maybe the best look at what it looks like for him in the league. Again, it's one of those where it's not really worth the hassle trying to come up with one. Tidjane Salaun will be one of the most interesting prospects to watch over the next few years. There's a lot to like in his size, athleticism, motor, and off-ball scoring upside, but the amount of mistakes still there, the finishing and handle struggles and inconsistencies on defense make him a true project. Now there's a certain point in the draft where if he's going to get a lot of room to make mistakes but still have some structure, I'm all for it, but from what I've seen, it's harder for me to be as high on him as the consensus.